5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are live. Over to you, Priyanshi. Yeah, we are live. Over to you, Priyanshi.
So looks like Priyanshi's video may have frozen. So let me know when she's back. But in the meanwhile, good evening, everyone. Welcome to webinar 2 of the Changemakers Winter Camp webinar series. I'm Tilottama Srinivasa, and before we start, we have my co-anchor Priyanshi Dhan, who will be starting off the session, except that she's having a little bit of tech trouble. So I'm just going to see where she is. And if is she around?
No, ma'am.
No, right? Okay. I will then continue. Okay. So during our first session today, you heard Dr. Jyoti talk about the art and science of problem solving and innovating. And that is the key to good design, right? So the second session of the day is on developing solutions for mental well-being, where we will talk to a senior psychologist, Ms. Lakshmi Lobo, about innovation opportunities to help teenagers manage their emotions. Right? So this is not really a session where we're going to tell you how to manage your emotional well-being. This is more from a design point of view, right? What opportunities are there to design in this space? So the session will be a fireside chat where I will be talking to Ms. Lakshmi Lobo. Okay. Now, Priyanshi is, I think, still
Yes, ma'am.
not available. You're back. Okay. So then I will hand it over to Priyanshi to discuss a little more. So Priyanshi, I think you can, you know where I am in the.
Yes, ma'am. So before we begin, I would like to introduce Tilota to you. So Tilota Srinivasa has a bachelor and a master's in mechanical engineering from Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. She is the founder of Indiana Consulting LLP that offers MSMEs quick and easy access to top engineering experts, and the CTO and founder director of Peach Engineering Private Limited. Tilotama ma'am specializes in structures, FEA, and product design. In the past, she has intended and closely worked with Sutra, Sustainable Transformations of Rural Areas, Indian Institute of Science, a pioneering program in the use of biofuels as diesel substitutes for rural development. She has also worked as a consultant for Altair Engineering India and is currently consulting for Hector School of Engineering and Management, Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, Germany. She was a part of the 10,000 Women program at IIM Bangalore and was subsequently a part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Ambassadors program in the ISB Mohali. Passionate about promoting gender equality, especially in the areas of STEM and entrepreneurship, Madam Tilotama is the founder of Le Fafa, a group of accomplished women with the aim to promote equality by focusing on women as role models and sharing their positive stories. She's a mentor of change from Karnataka associated with the Atal Innovation Mission Niti Aayog, Government of India. Let me now invite Tilotama ma'am to start the session.
Thank you, Priyanshi. So good evening again, and welcome to the fireside chat with Ms. Lakshmi Lobo. Ms. Lakshmi Lobo is a counseling psychologist, a clinical hypnotherapist, and a behavioral strategist. She's an entrepreneur too, with over 20 years of experience. Being an affirmative counselor and trainer, she is currently working for the Humsafar Trust and Empower Minds, which is an Aditya Birla initiative. She has co-facilitated programs for NUSSD, which is Government of India, and private corporations, hospitals, and schools. Her core strength lies in helping people to master their behaviors, thoughts, feelings, and relationships by using mind-based technologies such as CBT, mindfulness, contextual therapies, and therapeutic visualization through hypnosis. Ms. Lakshmi has been trained at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and the London College of Clinical Hypnosis. Additionally, she attended Spring Counseling Center self-awareness program. So thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us today, Lakshmi ma'am. Before we start, I'd like to quickly reiterate what this session is all about. I did a little bit in the beginning, but I'm just going to repeat myself again. So please bear with me. Now, we all heard Dr. Jyoti talk about design thinking, right? And one important part of design is understanding what the requirements are and coming up with a very clear problem statement based on that. That's what Jyoti ma'am was telling you. Okay. Now, this session and 6 more sessions this week are about this. Okay. Understanding requirements. And to get the requirements, you just can't go to a person and say, give me the requirements, right? So you have to listen and you have to ask them questions that draws them out. Okay. And you have to take notes of what you have understood of what they said. Right. So in this session, I will start the process for us of asking questions and trying to get some ideas from Lakshmi ma'am. So I will ask Lakshmi ma'am questions for about half an hour. And based on the answers, on her answers, we can ask her more questions in the remaining time. Okay. Now, basically, to repeat myself again and again and again, in this session, you need to listen carefully to what she's saying. Don't jump to conclusions about what she's going to say. Keep an open mind and note down all your questions and any ideas that you get as you listen to her. Okay, so let's start. Ma'am, so Kiran sir, can we have some kind of side by side with Lakshmi ma'am and me, or how shall we do this? Or we can just do gallery view and maybe turn off the other videos. Okay, so in the meanwhile, I think I'll start with the questions. So, ma'am, you have been practicing as a psychologist and counselor over many years. Now, based on your experience, could you help us understand the difference between mental and emotional health, please? Because people keep talking about mental health, they talk about emotional health. What is the difference between the two?
Thank you, Tilotama, first of all, for inviting me here. I'm really happy to be here, sharing whatever knowledge and experience I've picked up over the years and to be part of the Atal Innovation Mission and have this fireside chat with you and so many young people listening. That is very inspirational and motivational for me. So coming back to your question, about the difference between mental health and emotional management. Mental and emotional have physiological differences. Mental health is associated with a person's overall mental well being. It includes rational thinking, good decision making, managing difficult situations. On the other hand, emotional health is related to our ability to manage our moods, our feelings, and it's always good emotional health, balanced emotional health that leads to good mental health. When we are feeling good, when we are feeling balanced, when we are able to understand our moods and feelings, then we will be able to manage very difficult situation. We will be able to find the rational answer for what is happening around us, and we will make better decisions. So we make better decisions and rational decisions when we are able to manage our moods. I hope this clarifies your question.
Yes, ma'am. But I have a additional question to that. So, what about physiological changes or issues? Like, do they affect mental health or emotional health? And how do we figure out if, for example, if I'm feeling sad or angry all the time, how do I tell if this is emotional or hormonal or a vitamin deficiency? How does one make out?
So, yes, physiological changes definitely have an effect on our emotional health, and therefore it does affect our mental health. As I explained, the emotional health is paramount. If we are emotionally healthy, then we are able to be mentally healthy and make better decisions. So, physiological changes like maybe vitamin deficiencies and hormonal changes will affect our emotional moods. The best way to understand this, whether we have deficiencies or hormonal changes, is to definitely take a doctor's opinion on the same. But to just understand for ourselves whether there is something more going on, we should do a small checklist in our mind and understand whether our everyday tasks are being managed. Are we capable of managing them? And then, if we are, then we are functional, and therefore we need to concentrate more on how to manage our emotional health and therefore manage everything else.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question, when we talk about inclusivity, because part of this is about designing so that society is inclusive. So when we talk about inclusivity with respect to mental and emotional health, what does that mean?
So, inclusivity with respect to mental and emotional well being is about understanding that all ages, all cultures, all economic strata of society require help to manage their emotional needs. It includes all the genders, marginalized population, marginalized people. It includes diverse, multicultural, and multi religious population, which is what we are as India, that is Bharat.
So basically, everyone has emotional needs, and we need to find ways to ensure that they all have access to help
Yes.
when they need it. And so, how do we do this? Is
So,
yeah,
the
sorry,
most important for this would be, sorry, did I cut you off?
not at all.
Okay. Would you like to complete?
No, no, please.
So, everyone, as we understood, has emotional needs, and accessibility to counselors, accessibility to someone who is professionally trained to hear people out is what is the most needed. That helps. Most of the schools have mental health counselors. I think even most hospitals will have mental health counselors. The other thing is to make talk about mental health, talk about emotional needs so that we don't make it a taboo subject. If somebody is not feeling too great, too good, then we don't need to be quiet about it. If somebody is behaving in a fashion that is hampering their everyday tasks, then we don't need to be quiet about it. We need to be able to approach them. We need to be able to talk to them and ask them, what is the matter? Can we help? So, not having a taboo against the subject of mental well being is one way, and the other way is to have accessibility to counselors, counselors through schools, through colleges, through hospitals, through even citizen groups, probably, if community groups, that would be the way.
Ma'am, so then the next question, and I think this is something that all of us wonder about, is how trustworthy are such places? Like how sure can one be, especially as a youngster or a teenager, that what I say will not get reported back to my friends or families in a way that I can't control.
That's a very nice question, because what happens is many times the circumstances within the home or within the community are also reasons for the mental health problems that the youth face. So there has to be a space which is neutral ground for the youth to be able to talk to or talk with. And the counselors have to be sensitized accordingly. Many of the counselors are attached to government hospitals, government bodies. They are trained counselors. There are also many properly licensed phone lines, helplines available, which are very good in terms of being able to maintain confidentiality, in being able to maintain that level of neutrality. They are affirmative. By affirmative, I mean all inclusive of all kinds of genders, all kinds of people, all kinds of religions, all kinds of population. So this is, I think, iCall is one such helpline which is run by the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and there will be several more that are registered with government bodies, government agencies. So sometimes just the thought to a young person that they have access to somewhere that they can speak about their problems, which may be community or family based. Therefore, the community or the family becomes a space where they cannot seek help because that's where the problem is coming from. In such a case, just the thought that I have someone else to talk to, someone who's more neutral, somewhere where I can go and speak, where I can go and chat if I cannot be in direct contact, that would be something that affords anonymity. And that in itself is a stress reliever to the young person to know that there is an availability.
So, based on your experience as lay people, that is, people who have no training or expertise in counseling and therapy, what can we do to make folks who are going through such issues feel included?
So, a lot of people sometimes feel that offering a solution or giving advice to a person who is suffering through maybe a high level of stress or a high level of anxiety, this anxiety or this stress may be coming from needs, physical and mental needs not being met, emotional needs not being met. Maybe they are coming from problems that are based within the family, within the community. So, in such cases, other lay people who are not in tune or trained professionally tend to offer advice which may not always work out in the benefit of the person or the young person who's asking for the help. So the most important here is to train a lot of people to be empathetic towards somebody who is having this emotional issue and unable to deal with everyday stressors. Talking with people, putting them at ease by assuring that they can just simply share it, as I mentioned earlier. Just the thought that I can share this with someone, I can share my feelings with somebody is a stress reliever to make people feel better about themselves, to make people feel included in the community and in the family from where they are feeling like as if they are not anymore included in that family or in that community. So that is how we can help people, train people, help people to understand when they are lay people, not to advise, but to just first listen.
So that is what you mean by being empathetic. Like just listen, don't necessarily try to offer solutions.
Yes, offering solutions may not be the right way forward at all. In fact, counseling is a process where no solutions are offered. We empower people to make their own solution, to find their own solution. And that's what we need to do with the young people also. However young a person is, they always do know instinctively what is better for them and what will be the best for them, which will work for them within their family, within their community, where they need to feel belonged. If we keep offering them solutions or if we keep pushing them into an advice, we may actually drive them away from the real solutions that they can find for themselves. So empathetic means not about solving the person. It does not even mean feeling sorry for the person. That is being sympathetic. Empathetic is feeling with the person, not offering solutions and not offering sympathy. So, what does feeling with the person mean? It means that if you are feeling sad, if you are feeling low, and I am your counselor or I am somebody whom you can talk to in school as a school counselor, or I am the DD from the community health group, maybe you can just come and sit and talk with me, and I just listen and listen to you. I present the picture to you, which maybe is not what you're seeing. That is the real work of a counselor, to present a mirror to that young person of what is actually happening around them. And then from that, they will help themselves to instinctively find the solution that they need and that they want. And then this becomes something that is empowering. That means you help them to take care of their own emotional needs and how to do it, how to understand, how to then lead yourself into becoming more rational with your decision making. Every time, if you offer them just a decision and if you offer them a solution, then what you're doing is not empowering them, but telling them what to do, which is typically what school teachers may do. And that is not counseling.
Yeah, so everyone who is listening to this session and wants to design something, this is key requirement alert, right?
Yeah,
Being
it is.
empathetic. Do not offer solutions. No, it's about how do you figure out whatever it is that you're designing, how can it be empathetic, right? That's a key requirement
Yes.
to working with inclusion.
Managing your emotions, helping the person to manage their emotions by tuning in to the situation, community feelings that they are feeling with them will help you.
Yes, ma'am. So next question, since we are especially we are all interested in design, so has technology made things better or worse for young people facing emotional health issues? I'm saying young people, but in general, but here we are more interested in teenagers. So has technology made things better or worse? And what is better, what is worse?
So, technology is something that is good. It has helped us in our lives. So, I wouldn't say better or worse. It is more about evolving with the technology and helping it to help us. That's really the key to understanding technology, helping it to help us. Technology has made things better in so many ways. We can talk to each other. We can have this beautiful meeting without actually being physically present with each other, but being completely in tune, mindfully in listening and in tune and understanding what is mental health and how you can design something that would help mental health. And we have people from right across India listening to this. So, isn't that technology being put to very, very good use? But yes, we have to also be wary about the way technology, especially through social media, which is obviously much more in terms of understanding, much more commercially managed, and therefore it has the ability and it does manipulate our mind. So we have to be more careful about how social media affects our minds or manipulates our minds. That is the very part of technology. Most of the other part of technology is good.
Yeah, but I was also referring to things like, being bullied online, or even worse, having, mean adults pretending to be teenagers. So, what can one do to deal with things like this? Because obviously it's disturbing.
Yes, it is disturbing. The only way to deal with this is to make people aware of it. That means understand the safety, understand that even if it is a virtual space which has been created for you, for helping you, and for bettering you, the virtual space also has its own dangers. Just like you don't walk in a certain space physically, which is dangerous, or at certain parts of the day or night, or in certain areas which we know are fraught with danger. The same way, we have to also understand that virtual space also is a space which has its dangers, which has its limitations, which has its problems, and we should be able to make the young people very aware of this. That is something that is not very easily or very often taught to youngsters about how this same technology, which is very useful to us and which is very helpful to us, can also prove in its own way dangerous to us through bullying, through manipulation of the mind. What is bullying? It is manipulation of the mind. When you say that somebody is pretending to be somebody else altogether, what do you know about it? Again, it is manipulation of the mind. So this can happen at a larger scale on in the virtual space, because if you are restricted physically within a certain A or B or C community, then there can only be that many number of people. But
Hmm.
when you're on the virtual space, there are literally infinite possibilities of people being able to manipulate you and to be able to probably even steal things from you, if since we are also now financially very easily accessible financial technology also in which is available with younger children also. So that is something we have to be able to build into whatever we are telling people, telling the youngsters, that there is a danger, please be aware of it.
So, folks, another potential requirement: how do you verify if somebody is who they actually claim to be, right? There
Yeah.
are some measures which various social media people employ, but there are then again ways to get around it. So, that would be something interesting to think about.
Yeah, and also point out the reality of this, that this happens. It
Hmm.
is not only about what you see in the virtual space that is coming true. There might be many more things which is beyond the what you see. So becoming aware that there is a constant danger lurking around. It's like taking a walk in a jungle or a forest. Yes, it's very pretty. It's very calming and soothing if you're watching the birds, but it is not calming and soothing if you know that there beyond a certain time the jungle changes its mood. So the same way, when you venture into spaces and virtual spaces, there are dangers. It has to be constantly spoken to all the younger children.
Ma'am, so based on what we have heard in the last few questions that you answered, what aspects of emotional health can people like us, that is not trained professionals but interested in problem solving and product design, so what areas can we help with?
So one could use technology or AI and help to build an app, I feel, that has a very quick or a very smooth translation. See, we are a country that has multiple languages, multiple, and multiple cultures along with these languages. So if a young person can ask a question or share their problems or share what is happening to them in their own mother tongue, they would be so much more articulate, so much more comfortable, so much more able to say what they want to say and reach out and ask for support or help. Now, if this can get very easily translated to the language that the trained professional counselor understands, wouldn't it be very nice? It would be so much easier with lesser misinterpretations between what the young person wants to ask, and the same can be used by the AI or the app, where the psychologist's language, who will answer in their mother tongue or the language that they think and feel in, and this could then go back to the young person as the answer, as the support, as the listening in ear along with the support query that goes back. It shows the empathy to the younger person in their language, which they are comfortable with, because it's translated again to give that needed support and relief to the youth. So it could be question and answer based style, so that there is a little more space and time between what the younger person is seeking and what the psychologist is then offering as support, which could mean empathetic support, or which could mean not a solution, but based on understanding the situation, reframing, as we say. This is the main work of a counselor, to the younger person, reframe the situation for them so that the younger person could make a more informed and a more empowered decision. In this process, one more thing that happens, Tilotma, is that when a younger person puts in a query or asks something or chats about it or even speaks about it and then waits for an answer to come back, maybe 3 hours, maybe 2 hours, maybe the end of the day, any which way, they are also inherently learning to manage their emotions with a stress relief and understanding that, hey, you know what, someone's going to help me, someone's going to tell me what I should do next, how I should manage this situation. There is no instant gratification, which is what social media does. One of the dangers, inherent dangers of technology, is that instant gratification. So it kind of also helps that, and it makes a fewer number of counselors required or trained professionals required to answer a multitude of questions or multitude of problems in a multitude of languages. So I feel that is something that technology could surely support us on now.
And again, folks, another interesting, very important point that ma'am made is that when you're dealing with something like mental and emotional health, otherwise all of us tend, in today's world, we're all into real time. Everything needs to happen right now in this instant, right? But what she's saying, if I understood that right, ma'am, is that in the case of emotional and mental health, it actually helps to have a delay, a time lag between when you ask for something and you get the answer, right? So that is actually good for us. So when you're building, when you're building your product, you don't need to look at how do I get instant stuff, because in this particular case, it's instant is actually worse than after some time. Is that right, ma'am?
Yes, to some extent, not exactly this way, but essentially, if a youth comes forward with something that is troubling them, say in their family community, something that is really distressing them, and they need a way to be able to address that, and they are so inherently they are capable and understanding of how to address it, and they ask and they pose that question, say to an app in their mother tongue, being emotional at that time, and then that app is translating something for them and going back to a trained professional, this can take a matter of maybe 1 hour, 2 hour, depending on how the design is built. Now, in that much time, the youth is also processing. There is a stress relief that the youth gets immediately in terms of, so there is a some form of gratification. But that form of gratification is also empowering the youth, because then that youth is thinking, okay, I'm going to get some kind of a input. I'm going to get some kind of a resource to help me manage. So they also start thinking themselves about the resource that will come, what I can do, how I can apply it. We don't know how they will exactly think, but the time lag as such is empowering, because there is not an instant answer coming to what they are seeking. It's like, say we read lessons, or we read studies, or we read books, and then we digest the information, and then we are able to process it much better. I think this would be part of any design,
Hmm.
and the emotional design needs it too.
Yes, ma'am. So the other point that you were making from what I got is that yes, you're designing things around it, but you would still need trained psychologists to answer the questions. What I think you made quite clear is that, if you say you're using something like AI or machine learning, you've got to realize that that is just a tool that can be used for something like language translation. You cannot use it as a substitute for a psychologist because, I mean, AI is not sentient, first of all. So it is completely incapable of something like empathy. And therefore, it would be, in fact, dangerous to try something like that. So basically, you need a trained psychologist.
Yes, I
Uh,
wholly agree with that. And AI is not trained to pick up the nuances. And as I said, we are so multicultural. So, how would you train AI through so many cultures and thought processes? It would be better to have someone closer to that culture to be able to understand, a trained professional, I mean, to understand what is exactly the nuance of that question, the emotional nuance of the question, or the emotional nuance of the problem that the child is putting forward.
So it's basically about finding ways to offer easier access to these counselors. Now, the
Yes.
other thing, ma'am, is what about things like journaling or practicing gratitude? Can we find ways to help people build habits around that? Could those be potential designs or products that we work on?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It could be part of the same product, could be different products. Journaling could be oral speech, like you journal it through talking because maybe you don't have the time to write down everything, or you don't have accessibility to write down everything. But now, with internet having pervaded our lives almost everywhere and everyone having a smartphone, how about having a journaling app where you could, where you could write down your day of what you want to, whether it's your emotional understanding of the day, whether it is your schedule of the day, whether it is something else that you want to put in. Sure, that could be done. And practicing gratitude also could be around the same understanding that we can help people build habits. Technology can help people build habits. Yes, definitely.
I think we are realized we're just running a little low on time. So I'm going to quickly rush through some of the remaining questions.
Okay.
So I think you already kind of answered this, but what are the common pitfalls or mistakes that people make when they're trying to help people with mental or emotional health issues?
The most common pitfall, as I mentioned before, is giving advice and suggestions when a person is suffering from mental or emotional health issues. They need support, they need a listening ear, and they need someone to show empathy, which is just feel with them.
So basically, learn to listen to them. Don't try to offer solutions, most importantly. And the other thing that I think people often do is to start talking about themselves. Like,
Yes,
oh, your grandmother just passed away. When my grandmother passed away, something happened. So
yeah.
don't do that
Don't
either.
do
Yeah.
that.
Okay. All right. So, what is the cost of, unsolved mental emotional health issues to society, to the country? And we know what the cost is to the person, but
I have not measured it, but it would be huge. As if the functionality of the youth gets affected, then there is emotional distress, which we call bad mental hygiene. It definitely affects the functionality, the functioning, the way the person can uh, give back to society, the way that they can live for themselves. All of it gets affected. So it must be a very, very huge cost. I'm sure someone's doing some research and measuring it. I'm not aware of it so
Yeah,
far.
I couldn't find it for India, but I did read some articles which said that the costs of untreated mental health are in like tens of billions per year for every country. And so this is obviously a very serious issue, and it's
Mm.
not just for the immediate family and friends, but for society and the country as a whole. So, ma'am, you said something about bad mental hygiene. So, what does that mean?
Bad mental hygiene is just a conceptual word that covers emotional distress, bad mental health, where you're not able to regulate your emotions, where you become very sad or very angry, or you're not able to motivate yourself, you're not able to do everyday tasks. So that is basically bad mental hygiene. It is about not building any kind of a habit, not having a schedule, not having regular understanding of how your life needs to be led. What is the support system around you to be able to lead that life? So many other things. Therefore, you do not make the right decisions. So there's basically an implosion of everything that is happening around you, happening inside you also, and that becomes then bad mental hygiene, which can be regulated, as we spoke just now, through, of course, counseling one way, but as you said, through journaling, through gratitude. What is gratitude? Gratitude is, in a way, a form of prayer, which we should have. The prayer can be anything. The prayer could be about your faith, the prayer could be about understanding yourself and making sure that you also feel some amount of gratitude for what you already do have in your life, or what you want to build further in your life, and that you have the capacity to do so, which is the prayer.
So, if I wanted to design something that, helps people deal with emotional issues, where would I go for reliable information? Like, could you give me a few keywords or standard websites, books, videos that one can use as the basis for this? Because, we are lucky that we are talking to you today, but if I want to design this later and I need information, where do I go?
Really, information could at the most be got from books of psychology in colleges, in libraries of colleges, not necessarily self-help books from Amazon. And the second would definitely be to sit with well-trained professionals and look at keywords which would help people find the app or the technology that is being used.
So, definitely not ChatGPT.
Definitely not
Right,
ChatGPT.
okay. All right. So coming back to making society inclusive and helping people feel
Hmm.
like they belong,
Hmm.
what is the one big thing, concept, action, anything that you wish that everybody knew about? Something like if only everybody did this, then half the problems wouldn't even come up in the first place. Is there something like that?
No, that is a little bit of a wishful thinking, but if I was to understand it, then from the app itself or from the design, that your product design that you're going, there should be a feel good about that product design that doesn't look at life as a problem or imagine that problems will go away, but that the good feel is about being able to manage the problems that come to us.
Okay. Yeah. So, as an engineer, I need to fix it. So the point is, you can't fix
Yes.
it, you need to manage
Manage
it.
it, because
Right.
they will keep on cropping up. Life continuously evolves around us, so we can't fix life's problems, and we can't look at life as a problem, but we have to look at being able to manage it. If you look around nature, typically an animal will feed their hunger today. A predator will kill and feed their hunger today, but few days later they will be hungry today. Now if the predator has to view it as a problem, can you imagine how stressful that predator's life would be for the lifetime? So it's not to be viewed like that. Life is not a problem. Life is to be is living. Life is an evolution that happens. With it come problems, and only need to know how to manage them.
Yeah, ma'am, you're saying that the other thing I'm hearing is that if you design products for this space, they have, endless life if you keep improving them,
They are endless. Yes, they are
because
endless.
they're required lifelong by
Yeah,
everybody.
and the feel good has to be about being able to manage the problem, not being able to solve it.
So I think I'm going to just ask you just one or two more questions. Do you think there's an increase in mental and emotional health issues in the last decade or so, or is it just an increase in awareness? I mean, are we all going crazy, or is it
It's both. It's both.
okay?
It's very frankly both, and not to mention, but COVID added a very, very huge amount of um, serious mental health and emotional well-being problems to everybody because lives were completely disrupted. They were not normal for the entire globe. And that did create a situation where suddenly everybody who didn't have a problem also had a problem, and that also helped in a way with awareness. So it helped in a way that it stopped being a taboo anymore. So
Hmm.
it has helped, but it needs to be addressed now.
So last question from my side, because I see that the whole thing is like exploded with questions. Since we are lucky to have you, as a senior professional
Thank you.
here today, can you give us some tips on how to stay mentally and emotionally healthy?
Yeah, my four golden rules, and I think they're universal, is good physical activity. You don't need to go to a gym. You have space around you. Just walk, just run, go to the beach, do anything that is possible. Physical activity. Nutritious diet. Again, nutritious diet doesn't mean protein bars and all the other advertised stuff. It literally means the diet that your forefathers and you and your home cooking provides. That is a nutritious diet. Sleep is extremely important. Sleep doesn't mean that it is only about completely being oblivious to the world and going into a great sleep. It also means rest to the body. So sometimes young children worry that, I'm not getting sleep. But if you are able to actually lie down somewhere for several hours of the day, your body and mind do feel rested if you don't stress about the fact that I'm not getting sleep. So sleep is important. Social connections and relationships, building, rebuilding is equally important. Four golden rules. So social connections happen through community, happen through family. We should make sure that family and family communications don't break down, family connections don't break down, community connections and community communications don't break down. They are important. Relationships which we may have lost, we need to rebuild them. So these are the four main rules: physical activity, nutritious diet, sleep, social connections, and relationships. And you will have a much better emotional as well as mental health.
Thank you, ma'am. So I think Fanisa, you can take us off this dual mode, and I will now hand it over to Priyanshi.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Lakshmi Lobo ma'am and Ms. Tilotma ma'am for a very interesting session on inclusivity and emotional well-being. I hope the students in the audience can now appreciate the importance of inclusivity and emotional well-being and have many ideas on how to design products and solutions for this space. I see a few questions from the audience. Could you please answer that now? So the first one we will be taking is a question from Chauriman Mehra, that is sympathy proposing an answer, whereas empathy is just listening.
So, sympathy is not giving an answer. Sympathy is feeling sorry for the person, and empathy is feeling sorry with the person, which means listening and also feeling the feeling that they are feeling, but not feeling sorry for them because they are feeling like that, and therefore you feel to that you have to provide a solution to relieve their stress. No, you feel with the person, you hold the person's hand, if possible hug the person if that is allowed in your community and your social space, and just sit with the person, say that I'm there for you, I will listen to you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Aditi Arya. The question is that how can technology help to improve our mental health?
I think we answered that pretty much in detail how technology can help in terms of being available using AI and understanding how we can translate different languages that we speak in India to be able to answer on the different languages that people who have problems, that means the youth, the population, as well as the trained professionals. Everybody speaks in different languages, so AI can be used very well here.
Okay, now the next one is from Atharva Kohli. That how does mental or our emotional health affect our physical well-being?
Our physical well-being is tied to our mental and emotional well-being, definitely, because well-being as a process is the three items of being emotionally balanced, being mentally healthy, and therefore physically healthy. As we have already mentioned, if you have a lot of severe anxiety and stress, it will show up in some form in your body also. You won't be able to be functional, you won't be able to do everyday tasks. Then you will loop back into feeling bad about the fact that you can't do your everyday tasks, and then again the same loop will go on. So they are all interconnected. We must keep good physical health also. One of my golden rules for keeping good mental health is physical activity.
Okay, now the next question is from Ayushman. That how can we make counseling, therapy, etc. more accessible to the people that are especially suffering from different kind of disability?
You mean physical disabilities?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
so.
ma'am.
And that's a great question.
Yeah, so in that case, technology will really help, isn't it? If someone can just speak and be assured that there's someone listening to them and will come back to them with some kind of an understanding of how they should manage that problem that they are facing.
Okay, ma'am. The next question is from Vanika Gupta. That how can we overcome the problem of overthinking as well as the feeling that we get of inferiority?
So, inferiority is one of the dangers that we spoke about of social media, of technology that provides us with social media. Social media is typically literally advertising. It's a very sculpted and very beautiful part of one's life that is put out, or a very dark part of one's life that is put out. Real, natural, everyday life is almost never put out in the social media. So then that gives us complexes because we are only seeing other people's very happy and very sculpted into happiness kind of life. So we have to be aware of that. That is one of the ways to mind yourself from feeling inferior. And overthinking is typically again related to seeing so many of these bombarded manipulative messages that come through us through media, all kinds of media. And therefore, then we start, charging our own mind constantly with solutions and other things and everything but being able to see and feel what is in the present moment or what is currently happening around us.
Okay, ma'am. Now the next question is from Tanmay Joshi. That how can we keep ourselves away from the bully speech and how to cope up with verbal abuse?
Both are very difficult, and I think if to cope by oneself. In both cases, trained professionals or some kind of an accessibility to be able to talk about this to someone will be helpful and will be useful. It is very difficult to manage bullying when you're being bullied to be alone. To feel alone is adding the stress onto yourself besides the bullying that is going on.
Okay. Now the next question is from Pravisha Tyagi. The question is that is self-acceptance important for having a good mental health? And how can we accept ourselves? Because sometimes we just can't.
Very nice question and very, very good point brought up. Yes, self acceptance is something that really helps us with our emotional and mental well being. Absolutely. How do we do this? Some of the tools that can come up through the technology which you might be designing, which we spoke about, which was journaling, which was gratitude writing, which was understanding through journaling and gratitude, and to be able to talk to somebody else who will offer you understandings and, like I said, a mirror on how you really are and what you need to accept about yourself. And maybe that in itself brings up a potential from within you which you had probably never noticed. Say a person who may be very good with the arts and who is only concentrating or overthinking on the maths paper will, through trained professionals, start understanding or realizing their potential about the arts and begin to feel better about themselves and feel accepted by themselves first. So, yeah, very good question. Technology can certainly help here.
Okay, ma'am. The next question is from Subanthan. The question is that in a country like India, a person taking counseling is seen sometimes as a weird person, and counselors they do not reach. They're not able to being reached by the school students easily. So, what can we do to find a solution for that?
I think that is what the product design will be about, to make it easy for people, make it easier for youth to be able to access more and more professionally trained counselors. And the other part about how do we make it less taboo. I think through the difficult time that the world passed through, where it was COVID, a lot of taboo, a large part of the taboo was lifted. But we need to work much more to lift that taboo completely, where it's absolutely normal to be able to go and speak to a counselor and be and think of it as an absolute as normal as going to a physical training class.
Okay, ma'am. From the next question is from Tanmay Pandey. That how can we keep ourselves away from feeling demotivated and feeling alone?
Demotivation is part of not being able to manage yourself emotionally. So I would say apply the four golden rules. Make sure you're having good physical activity. Make sure that you are having a nutritious diet. Keep away from constant scrolling of the social media. Build up physically good relationships with people. That means meeting them, social connections, community connections. Make sure that you have a better sleep cycle and not just scroll through the night till almost 2:30 in the night and then get up and run to school or college early in the morning at 7 o'clock. Those will help you feel the motivation because you build a habit, you build a regular lifestyle using these four golden rules. Once that is improved in your system, then the other part happens much more naturally, where you stop feeling alone because you are happy also in your own company. You are happy amongst the social and the community interactions that you will have.
Okay. Then the next question is from G. Rupert. That is, how can a person adapt to changes that are unexpected challenges that may arise during the course of life?
Yes, those are very difficult to adapt to suddenly. But most people who are emotionally healthy, who are able to find somebody with whom they can share their problems and their feelings with, do tend to adapt in a much more healthy way and move on. So, as we spoke about it, life is an evolution of everyday living, and that does have problems, and we do have to adapt to them, we do have to manage them, and we have to move on.
Okay, ma'am. And the next question is that how can a person control certain kind of emotions like laughing or something?
Um, you don't have to really control your emotions. You have to only manage them in terms of if they get excessive and they fundamentally make you less functional. Like if you're sad all the while, it will make you less functional. You won't be able to participate and you will feel demotivated on an everyday basis. Same thing happens if you feel a lot of anger. It will be difficult for you to remain in social connections with anybody if you're all the while shouting and fighting with everybody, isn't it? But that doesn't mean you should never get angry. It doesn't mean that you should never get sad. Primary emotions are always going to be there. They cannot just go away, and you shouldn't wish them away. What you have to do is to manage them in a balance.
Yes, ma'am. Now the next question is from K. Dikshita. That how can we get rid of the emotions like anxiety, and how can the person control themselves when they feel tense, especially about the future or the things that are going to happen in future, especially the things that are career oriented?
Yes, so this is anxiety and stress that typically does arise and happen during moments of facing situations that are difficult. So, learning, you can't control the situation outside, but you can control and manage your own internal emotions and how your response is going to be there, be to that particular stressor or stress situation. You can't just react. If you react, then you'll feel sad, you'll feel depressed, you'll feel angry, or you will feel stressed. So, how do you manage it? You have to seek professional help and understand how to manage these emotions and therefore help yourself to reduce the anxiety and the stress that you're feeling. That is important.
Priyanshi, I think
Thank
we are
you.
getting close to the time, so maybe one or two more questions.
Sure, the next one is from Aditi Arya. That is, what if we don't find someone that we can share our feelings comfortably with?
You can always first start sharing your feelings. That, as I said in the beginning, is a stress relief. Somewhere you have to be able to build that trust either in your school counselor or community counselor, or as we are talking about even today, a product that is built with technology may be easier. Maybe you can remain anonymous while talking, while sharing, but you know that someone trained and someone professional on the other side is going to help you to find a solution for yourself. Wouldn't that be a stress reliever for you? I'm sure it would be for Aditi also.
What about, sorry, just a add-on question to that, but what about something like journaling or getting a dog?
Yes, both things help. Though getting a dog for everyone is not easy, there are plenty of other dogs around whom you can befriend if you are a dog person and they give you unconditional support in terms of empathy. Literally. Now, they may not understand what you're saying, but as far as emotions go, yes, most animals pick up emotions perfectly. So that does help. And journaling, which means writing out your own thoughts, your own moods, your own feelings, helps tremendously. Maybe you don't have time to write, and then if there is a product out there that helps you to journal by just speaking, it could help.
So, folks, maybe you could think about an app which connects you to your neighborhood dog owners, and you could think of going there and asking them if you can take their dog for a walk.
Yeah.
Just an example. Priyanshi, one more question, or shall we close?
I think that's all.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you, Priyanshi.
No, it was not. It was great hearing and clearing all the doubts from you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am, for taking time out of your busy schedule today. I know you had an especially busy day, and I dragged you into this.
No,
And a
no, it
big
was a pleasure interacting with all of you. I'm truly honored to be part of this.
thank you, ma'am. And a big thank you to Priyanshi for anchoring today's sessions with me. I also thank the audience for attending this webinar on innovation design for mental and emotional well-being. We have many more webinars lined up during the next few days that will be as enlightening and informative as this one, and the other one conducted today, so as both of them. So our next webinar is at 4 p.m. tomorrow on bringing ideas to reality. Okay, so click on the Zoom or YouTube joining link for our next session at Changemakers of India/sessions. And I think if you're part of the WhatsApp groups, then those links will also come in there. And join us again at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, and I hope everyone signed the attendance list. You can only sign the attendance list for the session that's going on at that moment. Yeah, so please don't try to sign it for other ones. That doesn't work. Okay,
Tilottama ma'am,
thanks a lot.
people are
Yes, sir.
asking for quiz link also. Can you please say them at what time we'll receive the quiz?
Yes, I think the quiz link. So we'll have two quizzes for the two sessions from today. We hope you were listening because we're going to be asking questions from those sessions. The links will come at 9 p.m., right, sir?
Yes, ma'am. In
Yeah.
single link, you will have, Nana. In the
Hmm.
single link, 9 p.m., you will be having the questions of two sessions.
Yeah.
So that you can attend.
Yes. And that link will be open until 4 p.m. the next day, but do not delay answering it because in case there's a tie, which happens a lot, we will be going with whoever answered it first. Okay? All right. And the recordings of the sessions will also be available on YouTube, I think. So thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. And we will see you. How many questions will be there? There's no definite number. It will be somewhere around 10. But it could be 8, it could be 14. All right. So thanks a lot, everybody. And we'll see you in tomorrow's sessions.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.